All right, welcome back. Good morning. It's now 7 minutes. It's 7 a.m., 1 minute to go. Good morning. Welcome back to the program. It's now time for us to take a look what's happening in the political arena. A lot is happening across the country, of course, across our borders. My three wise men are ready. If you know the story of the three wise men in the Bible. Wakili, I know in law school you learned a bit of some Bible, right?
No, we don't learn.
But you know the story of the three wise men?
No.
You don't know the three wise men?
I can pass it to the deputy governor. Maybe you can refresh my mind.
You know the story of the three wise men, did you?
From the east?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did they see?
They saw the star.
Yes.
And then they decided to follow the star.
Mm-hmm.
And the star led them to the manger.
Exactly. So that's why I'm calling you the three wise men.
Okay.
His Excellency Dr. John Erus is the Deputy Governor of Turkana County. Karibu Mheshimiwa.
Asante.
And of course, next to him is Steve David Kipruto, who is an advocate of the High Court and founder KDS Advocates. Karibu sana wakili.
Thank you.
And finally is Francis Kaviu, Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly, our neighbors. Karibu sana ndugu yangu.
Thank you.
Karibu. Gentlemen, a lot is happening in the country, and let me start by asking you this question. Today, I want us to talk about politics and accountability. And when we talk about politics and accountability, there's this aspect of constitution, what we need to be taking a look at, and how we need to be accountable. But the question is, when you talk about politics and accountability, who is accountable, all right? To whom, for what, and how? Because now, when you get into this, when you look at even from the front page of the local dailies, there is so much that is happening. EACC going after some former leaders, some of them are sitting members of parliament, from former governors and all that. We have got a lot of politics playing around ahead of 2027, but we need to ask ourselves, how are we going to play the politics of accountability? Wakili, let me just start with you. When you talk about politics of accountability, first of all, in your own understanding, what do you really make of that?
For me, I believe it's about checks.
Yes.
That when you are given powers, call them public powers, you must exercise some bit of control. You must be responsible. Whatever action that you take or whatever office that you hold, you must know that you are holding that office in trust. It's basically in trust. Kenyans have given you trust. They have trust in you to hold that office. So while you are discharging your functions, you are also means disseminating resources here and there. You must be accountable.
Yes.
Yes.
You are taking responsibility on behalf of.
Yes.
That is chapter 1 of the Constitution.
Yes. All the power belongs to the people of Kenya.
Yes.
So we have basically borrowed that powers from us. Yes.
But DG, when you talk of the Constitution, is it Article 10? Article 10 of the Constitution? Do we really get into it? But first of all, when we get to that, politics of accountability. I know this is one thing that is really required of you as leaders who we have given the powers to exercise on our behalf.
Yes, I'll look at it from two perspectives. One, as Wakili has mentioned, public confidence. You know, the public gives you the confidence to be able to exercise authority that helps them to achieve the purpose for which you are given that responsibility.
Yes.
And the other part of it is your own moral and integral capacity to be able to build that confidence for the public, to be confident that you're actually doing what it is supposed to be. The other part of it is the aspect of balancing between the role of citizens in terms of shaping political and leadership landscape.
Yes.
As well as holding, using the instruments that are available to have the public demand that accountability. And I think when you look at Article 10, going through into public participation, it talks about sequential steps of what it means. It means understanding what you are demanding from these leaders and your own responsibility towards or contributing towards that. For example, you find in public participation exercise where people are making critical decisions in terms of budgeting process. You have a voluminous document that you take to the outskirts of Turkana, for example, KBC sub-county. And then that document is written in English.
Yes.
And somebody is interpreting it in Kiswahili. And majority of the people there, for example, do not read or write in English or Kiswahili. So that also creates a loophole in terms of gaps in ensuring that people are accountable in terms of what their position demands.
Yes. Okay. You're a leader in the House of Machakos County. Are you accountable to the people of Machakos and Kenyans in general?
Yes. I think every person who has been elected is supposed to be directly accountable to the people, because when we talk of accountability, they are normally in three levels. There is the vertical accountability, where the citizens hold directly accountable the leaders through the elections, because we are elected so that we can represent the people. And at chapter 1 of the Constitution, the supreme power belongs to the people. But to us, it's normally delegated to us to act on their behalf. So that's the first level of accountability, where we are supposed to be accountable to the people who have elected us to those office. And the second level is what we call the horizontal one, where we have bodies like, that's where the controller of budget, auditor general, and the judicial process that is supposed to offer the checks and balances. Then the last one, which most of leaders or politicians don't like, is the diagonal one, which is offered by the civil society and also sometimes by the citizens directly, when they feel that the people who have been elected or have been given that mandate are not acting in their best interest. So sometimes that is when you see people resort to going to the streets to amplify their voice, because through the already established mechanism, they feel that the people are not being accountable enough. So I think instead of talking of politics, because politics is normally the process of coming into that office, but the moment we are elected, I think the missing link in our nation has been that we fail to differentiate where the political process of coming to office ends and where you should start offering leadership. So it should be leadership and accountability, because politics is normally about personal interest. But when you are keen on providing leadership, you will be questioning yourself every step that you take. Is this serving the best interest of our people? And also our Constitution on Chapter 6 is very clear on how office bearers, whether state officers or civil servants, are supposed to conduct themselves. So we should always be guided by the spirit of the Constitution to ensure that we are accountable. And also the agencies that are there. I think my two friends will agree that in Kenya, accountability is normally selective in nature. In this account, if you look at a body like ESCC, sometimes there is a feeling from the members of public that it has been politicized, and sometimes it doesn't pursue the agenda. You find the people who are felt that it's like they are annoying to the government, accountability check needs to be sometimes appear to be very tough, but as long as you are in good books with the authority or the ruling of the day, then you might escape with some of the gaps in terms of accountability. So every agency must do and
Are you
pursue.
not playing politics now?
No, it's not politics, it's the reality, because how many people out there are walking free and they are never held to accountable just because they are either they know somebody or because they are closer to somebody who is in power. So we need to move from that and ensure that every elected leader from the MCA up to the president can be held accountable for their deeds, whether in office or even after office. Because let's say, for example, recent cases, you have seen some former elected leaders being pursued and their asset being recovered. But it's a good move. But if that is done on timely basis, it will be of value to the people, because let's say, for example, in Machakos, if there is no accountability and there is loss of service, because citizens don't lose money. They lose service. When you steal some amount that is supposed to provide water for people, then those people become disadvantaged. So if it takes 10 years and maybe these funds that were supposed to provide water for the people are recovered after 10 years, there is a service that is lost. So
and delayed.
So even if you recover and sell the houses, it is not guaranteed that this money will be taken back to serve the same people. So it should be served instantly.
Does it really mean that most of the elected leaders are not aware of the political accountability?
I think the minority leader has explained the relationship between oversight institutions and what it takes to be able to ensure that public officials, political leaders are accountable. I want to differ with him a little bit, and I think the term which often is used to describe how people play politics is the issue of interest. You know, unless interest is clearly defined, if it is to talk about what the laid out procedures in terms of how somebody is elected into the office and representation, then we'll talk, maybe define interest in that part. But I think what often is mistaken is the interest where, as the minority leader has indicated, proximity to power tends to facilitate certain preconceived idea of protection. But I think I want to mention something which he has just mentioned. There is a friend of mine who said, you know, some of us, when we, you know, before we get into politics, we were either, you know, not just using his terms, that if you have been an idiot before, and you get elected into politics and you get money and power, you tend to become the worst idiot. And if you have been a coward before and you get money and power, you become the worst coward. But if you are sober enough before you got money and power, you tend to shape politics in a way that enhances certain ability in you to become, you become wise, and you provide a certain kind of wisdom and leadership. And I think when you look at the way people are, political leaders are either behaving in public or even in the institutions that they are serving, you tend to see all these things in display. But I think one of the challenges here is where the more you present the negative attributes in public, the more also the public associates you with a certain kind of power and responsibility. And it also tends to dilute your politics, and it tends to make accountability something that is taken for granted. But I want to mention something which I think Bridging Bridges initiative tried to provide a solution. For how long would you have to wait someone misusing public resources, embezzlement of funds, corruption, ethical issues that are related with accountability? For how long will you wait to be able to get to the point where you say that somebody can be investigated? I've had Senate appearances from Public Accounts Committee. And the question still comes on, EACC is there. For how long do you investigate these matters and get to a conclusion? And who said that matters of corruption or ethical issues that touch on Article 6, they have to go to the office of the Director of Public Prosecution for them to get a leeway on whether somebody can be prosecuted or not. And I remember we had a discussion here where the President mentioned in Homa Bay, for how long will somebody obtain anticipatory bails for there to be justice? And unless we have a timeline on whether we are just allowing EACC to expedite matters to do with corruption or issues to deal with ethics and conclude them within a certain time frame, it makes it look like the more your closeness to the proximity of power seems to shield you. And I think that is the notion that we need to try to separate. Maybe Wakili will explain whether those issues of accountability, especially those that deals with morality and ethics, require clearance of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. And I think that is where to me, that's where the biggest challenges comes in.
I think we just pass that baton to Wakili. You can respond to that.
I hope this answer will cover it. Because for me, the way I look at accountability issues, corruption, misuse of public funds, I'll first give it a historical perspective. Just when we got our independence, the independence government, there's a famous paper that as scholars keep on referring, called the secessional paper. In that paper, our founding fathers and the drafters of that paper used the word discipline, not corruption. And at that time, as you maybe can surmise, is that Kenya had very limited resources. You can imagine you have just been given your independence, you don't have money to even do anything. So you had limited resources. So what the founders and the drafters did, they said that we need discipline in all government departments. Discipline in terms of resources, that whatever you are given, ensure that you use it appropriately. If that money is maybe meant to deliver service to Mananchi, that is what it should be done. But along the way, we lost it. Also around, I believe it was 1965. And that's how we set the tone as a country for corruption. And I think that is the first documented a corruption incident that was recorded in history. It used to be called the Paul Ngei Commission. I don't know whether you're aware of it, about it. Yes, the maize scandal. So Paul Ngei was one of our, one of our heroes. So what he did, he was a minister. Back then he was a minister. He was also chairman of Maize Marketing Board. So what Paul Ngei did is that he gave tender to his wife to buy the maize. There was apparently a shortage of maize in the country. So the wife bought the maize and, they started supplying. There was a public outcry and there was a commission that was set up. The findings of that commission found the minister back then, Paul Ngei, culpable, and he was suspended, only to be reinstated 4 months later. You see, we've never learned. It's just old habits. We keep on repeating even now. So the thing about our politicians or our leaders, I can't say all of them, but majority of them, they hold these offices for their own interest. We give them this power, they go there, they serve their own interest. That is the most unfortunate thing. And back to what Dr. was saying, it's a moral issue. As a country, we have our value system is completely broken down. And this one I can also blame it even to an individual like myself being a voter, that we don't really elect people with moral standing. So if you elect a person who is a seasonal, is mentioned in almost all corruption deals, anything that they see, they just see money in it.
Yeah.
If you push that person to a position of authority, what do you expect? So it cuts across. Yes.
You talked about it, and that was during independence.
Yes.
And I would imagine that was during President Kenyatta regime.
Yes.
And from my history, it only took 4 months, the same commission to suspend Gay.
Yes.
But here, Mheshimiwa, you talked about anticipatory orders. To what extent? We still people walking to court. I think it was Matiang'i who also talked about it during last regime.
Yes, yes.
You have a feeling that you're going to be arrested. The next minute, you have Wakili here with anticipatory order, and you still go to office for the entire term of office. But then when you look at it, so where do we draw the line? Mheshimiwa, you talked about it. Where do we draw the line? Because accountability. Politics will always be politics. Mheshimiwa here said that there must be a point where politics ends.
Yes.
And now what begins? So where do we draw the line?
It is very difficult to draw the line between where politics ends and also accountability and leadership starts.
Yes.
And it is across. For example, I am a deputy governor. It's very difficult for me to divorce myself as a governor,
Yes.
managing the systems of county government, as well as a politician. I try on my own as the deputy governor in Turkana to make that distinction. But a lot of time, that distinction sometimes is also seen as not being so forceful and not appreciated a lot of the time, because I think leadership as seen by our electorates is how forceful you are, how strong you demonstrate your ability to be able to communicate, how far and wide can you use your loudest voice as possible. And sometimes you look at the content of those discussions and you see they're completely far apart. But you see the definition of leadership at that point is that. So can we be able to change this narrative? Of course, yes. As Wakili said, we know majority of these characters. When I was growing up, there are people that I know. They have been in politics, and they are in politics until today. If you just look back and say, what has this person done to be able to have that public support? And then you realize there is a big gap, there is a big problem.
Yeah.
Whether we need to begin to shift the whole conversation about politics so that it is either issue-based, and I don't know how that issue-based is going to happen, but it appears that as long as you are seen by a political party as being persuasive to a certain constituency, then you are a good politician. If you are demonstrating capacity to be able to deliver and to demonstrate that you have strong ethical stance and integrity, then you are not seen as somebody who is persuasive enough to influence the kind of following that either your political party requires or the governing party is, or coalition. And as long as we are coalescing around who is able to stand in Homa Bay, for example, and is able to attract the largest crowd possible, whether for good or not, or just enthusiasm, then you are seen as having more influence. But one of the biggest issue we also have in terms of accountability is how do we pay for crimes that we commit every day? So we have convicted felons being elected. You have people with integrity issues, some of them involved in very serious crimes. Somehow they are still there. People who have issues with money laundering, and they're still there. You wait until your term expires and then you are under investigation. These all issues erode public trust and the delegated power that we exercise on behalf of the people.
But then to who? That is a question. The Mheshimiwa, who is accountable to whom, for what and how? Okay? Because Wanjiku also has a responsibility. It's not to the not even political leaders. Everybody given a responsibility to lead has a responsibility. But Wanjiku also, the citizen, has a responsibility.
I think the first point of accountability starts with members of the citizens, because before you get to that office, the members of public or the citizens have that responsibility of ensuring that they send the correct people to those offices, as His Excellency has indicated. Because if we elect people who have of low moral standards, then we don't expect them to change overnight and become better leaders. And the second level of accountability is to the leaders themselves. People need to understand that when you are elected into an office, you are elected to serve, not to patronize or to go and enrich themselves. Because the way our political structure has been set aside, has been set up, most people think that they are elected to the office for their own self-interest. But the moment that we understand that, and it comes with the patriotic, being patriotic to the country, because it is that love for the country that will make you every day to question yourself, is what I'm doing right? Is what I'm doing advancing the national agenda of making Kenya a better country? So the moment we start asking ourselves those questions, then we'll be able even to hold ourselves accountable even before the citizen does it. But I want to challenge us as Kenyans, when we have that opportunity to exercise the democratic right, that is of electing leaders, as Wakili had indicated, we fail a lot because we want to go to the highest bidder. And in Kenya, those with a lot of money tend to appear like they are the best, but having a lot of money and being able to influence, as DG had indicated, doesn't go hand in hand with the good leadership. So it is time for us to go back to the drawing board and start looking for people who can steer. And sometimes it takes so long before we get those people. Because look at somebody like Kibaki. He had started the journey of seeking to lead Kenya. Was it 97 or yes, around 1997? But he was able to be that consistent. We never saw him after losing trying to sneak back to the government. And I think that is a trend that needs to stop, because if you are competing for a certain office and you don't make it there, there is something that you stood for. So it doesn't make sense that today I'm contesting, like for example, the DG for Turkana and the governor. There is an agenda that they had for the people of Turkana. And maybe they are the people they were competing against. They also had their own agenda and an ideology. So when you see after, we encourage people to unite for the common cause of the country, but folding and joining together, then that erodes the accountability aspect, because there must be somebody who is checking one another. Even though our constitution as it's currently constituted, it doesn't provide for the opposition.
Yeah.
But for instance, in 2022, we had Kenya Kwanza, and there was Azimio.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these were two distinct, each one of them. So at what point where you find the two merging together, it's like in one way or another, we are trying to go back to the one part people really fought to ensure that we move from that. So that distinction must be there, because when we, in the name of national unity, we should also ensure that that accountability is there. Because let's say, for example, as the minority leader for Machakos, if we fail to offer that accountability aspect at the Machakos County government, then, and we decide to join hands with the government side, then it is the citizens of Machakos who are going to suffer. And I think it has to be very clear. Okay. And especially as I finish, if you look at the way devolution was structured,
yes.
And I don't know whether the deputy governor will agree with it, the accountability aspect has been watered down, because you find the assembly and the executive are supposed to be distinct. But the way the operation of it was designed, you find it's very challenging to offer that oversight,
okay,
which is supposed to ensure that
which is also part of
accountability.
accountability.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a break. You've talked about Section 2A. You've taken us back to one-party state. That's way back to 1991. Let's take a break. And well, I don't want to sneak tea. You talked about some people sneaking. I don't know. I want to take a break and bring tea. Yeah. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. All of us now have their cups of tea. All right. So there is a question, Mheshimiwa, you talked of so many things. I'm really trying to pick one, but I'll come back to you. Wakili, when you look at the issue of accountability, how does now the whole governance system, because the new constitution that we have gave a very clear roadmap on how Mwananchi should also be responsible, elected leaders, all public officers, state officers, generally, citizens within the compound of Kenya, we need to behave and run our country. So how does it really, accountability, enhance the governance system?
See, I usually say the constitution we have is a very beautiful document, that you should never trust a politician, just trust the constitution. Trust the constitution, not a politician or any leader. As a voter or as a citizen, if you do that, then your life will be better.
You are easy to go.
You are easy to go. And so for me, I look at it, having also been involved in politics somehow and interacted with the Mwananchi, I think we have a problem. I can say it's also voter awareness, or some people can say political illiteracy. Like the people, the bulk of the population that makes this decision to either elect a person into office, especially into high offices like the governorship and the presidency and such offices, they really have low or little information. So that basically makes them just make poor political decisions. For instance, I can tell you, for instance, it is almost impossible to get elected in Kenya if you don't own a Prado. So if a voter sees you with a Prado, he'll know this one, this one fits the bill. You see, and now we start making
there's something to do with the status.
Yes, we start making blunders.
But is it so?
Yes, we start. Truly, there are very few politicians who have been elected. You can count them in every elections. You can count them. They are not more than 2 or 3. Even in the last election, you can say the women rep from Bomet and Peter Salasia. I think there was also one more.
Yeah.
In Uru's time, there was Kwanjiko is
The
it
guy
Wanjiku?
from Meru?
And the guy from Meru.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Those are anomalies, just like President Kibaki were. You know, those are political anomalies. Like, you know, it doesn't happen oftenly. So for me, I look at it as a, it's a system that is completely broken, and as Mheshimiwa had really said, that we need to build, we need to start from somewhere. And to answer your question, for me, I also think it's also about a governance issue, that we should let these constitutional offices do their jobs. We should strengthen these offices. We should give them independence in terms of the governance and how they run their operations, and even in terms of finance, their budget. We should not interfere. And I really would wish to challenge even Mheshimiwa here, that they should let, even at their level, at their county level, they should let those departments, you know, operate independently. The national government should do the same. EACC must not wait for someone to give them a call, or even the DPP, for them to pursue someone who is clearly implicated in a corruption scandal or misuse of public funds.
Yes.
So we must respect our institutions. The voter must also play his role, and if we get leaders with integrity, I think now we can see Kenya, or transit Kenya to a Singapore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we've talked about Singapore for far too long. I don't know why we're still taking too long.
It's an infatuation among our presidents.
Again, when you look at the whole aspect, Mheshimiwa, because again, responsibility is a two-sided, it's a coin with both two sides. But then now, when you look at how it's being practiced, if you are a person given that responsibility, so now how do we uphold it? Because we need to practice it. The Constitution is here. The Wakil has said, don't follow the politician, just follow the Constitution, and you are good to go. So how do we practice it fully so that we enhance the governance system that we need as citizens? I'm asking this because we have elections coming up in 2027, and we can hear the political drumbeats are already beating from the other side of the mountain, so loud.
Yes, I want to agree with Wakili that for a long time we are fought to enshrine principles of good governance. And we were all very excited after the 2010 Constitution. Apparently, there was a little problem in terms of some of us who are part of the first National Constitutional Conference.
Yes.
In the 2010 Constitution, we know that the National Commission on NCIC, National Commission on something National Unity or something like that, NCIC, had four items following the elections. And we had a regular report which did indicate a whole issue to do with how it is difficult in our politics, even to determine, with even the process that we have, to determine who genuinely wins in an election. And beginning all the way from the primaries up to the general election. And so there were three pillars. We advocated for establishment of Senate as an oversight for National Assembly and the Executive and the county assemblies for county governments. The compromise document that came out of Naivasha did create a situation where the Senate oversight was reduced to something that they are struggling with in terms of ensuring that the devolution works. There is no provision in the Constitution that says that the devolution works under a supervision of an institution. So in this case, you find that the Senate has primarily taken over the oversight of the county assemblies. The second issue is where, during the Bridging Bridges initiative, there was a whole aspect of the role of public or the role of citizens in participation in all governance activities, which was an oversight in Article 4 of the Constitution. And that warranted to be specific on the issue of a referendum,
yes,
because that was one of the things, even though the Constitution has outlined the rights and responsibilities of citizens, it was short of what responsibilities that the citizens, beyond paying taxes, beyond public participation, that they needed to demonstrate in terms of ensuring proper accountable governance within the leadership.
What was the mind of the drafters when they came up with the aspect of public participation?
The aspect of the public participation is limiting, if you look at the various sections within the Constitution, is limiting to public financing, is limited to the budget, it's limited to standing orders of both the National Assembly and the county assemblies. So it doesn't explicitly explain, other than you just being informed about what is happening, which the courts said that even the public participation we are talking about does not follow the sequential steps that are outlined in Article 10. So meaning there was slightly a bit of an oversight in assuming that by guaranteeing those rights, that they come with the responsibility of citizens. So that being said, the relationship that the minority leader had explained in terms of how do we then create a working relationship in terms of what really the citizens understand as their clear roles in terms of governance and ensuring that we are accountable. The only thing that the public, the citizens probably are seeing now is they're seeing it from the Gen Z lens, that they are just the hope that you have to stand up, offer something, that there is no clear mechanisms in what your participation looks like. And so you find that the visions that the president has in terms of what he wants to take this country is short of what the public need to know and responsible for. And you have heard the president saying that I take these hard decisions. I take these hard decisions because, and if I don't take them now, I don't want to pass it. So, and this is really where the issues of accountability, as far as I'm concerned. So if you look at governance in general, we are so delinked in such a way it's not going to get its way, either through the or the, then your power to be able to either to positively or negatively to achieve what you want to achieve. But this kind of loopholes continue to make a governance look like become a politician. Then we have demonstrated through that have the resources to be able to delay your criminal process, then that's it. And if you are not in a position to be able to delay it, then you get quick justice. Whether that could be called justice or not. But again, you find out that accountability then becomes something that we worry about every day.
I wanted to ask this question before you talk about the UN National Assembly that is happening in the US, National General Assembly that is. But Mheshimiwa, how do we institutionalize now social accountability in the devolved governance? Because he's talked about that explicitly. So how do we institutionalize it now? Because everything was now devolved closer to the people. And when we lose that mark, then it means that we are still giving the central government more powers. And yet, devolved functions are given to governors to exercise on our behalf, including you, the National County Assembly.
Yeah, I think, Victor, the president has been posing himself as a man on a mission. And what the president needs to understand is that if his mission is to be actualized, it must take serious the issues of accountability and have the courage to confront corruption and empower institutions that are there to deal with it effectively. But I also have a problem with the same institution because, for instance, at the county level, there is a threshold that has been set for in terms of wage bill at 35%. But you find there are counties that are way above that. But you find like the office, the controller of budget and the auditor general keeps giving comments highlighting that in terms of accountability, this is not being achieved.
Yeah.
But they only write, but they are not being actioned. Because if the law or the constitution is very clear that we are supposed to stop at 35%, then why is the office of the controller of budget allowing them to pay 40%, 50%? Because if you allow that to happen, you are failing in terms of accountability and what that means. And that's why you see we are having a lot of cases of ghost workers at county level. Why? Because the office of the auditor general and the control of budget are failing the people at those counties, because when you notice that there is an anomaly or a violation, then there must be a remedy. Writing and doing pressers and highlighting those issues, it's not enough. So, another institution that has failed Kenyan, it is the Senate. It is not serving the role that it was supposed to play. Instead, you saw the other day when the president called them out, they were all over. But Senate has been commercialized because you go there, you are violated. So for them,
that's an allegation.
No, it's true, because if the auditor general, I think it is the Senate that is supposed to follow up. If the auditor general points out and says county A has violated this, they are normally just called at the committee or the sectoral committee, then they appear to talk tough. Then after that, we have not seen any case that the Senate has resolved. There are cases of misappropriation of fund. Senate just talks the park that is led by Senator Kajwang. They only talk tough, but we never see them dealing with the matter conclusively and tell the people, we found this anomaly and we have been able to address it. So I think it is time we either scrap the Senate or they do what they are supposed to be doing, because they have failed. And even when the county assemblies do their job, Senate has been used either to bail governors for obvious crimes that have evidence, and you find themselves dwelling so much on the process, although the process matters, but even if the process was not followed, I think what Senate should be doing is to advise those assemblies, there is a process that you skipped. Can you go and correct and come back, because we have found tangible issues that needs to be dealt with. But unless they start also being accountable, then they'll remain just, for lack of a better word, toothless dogs that just bark a lot but never bite and never deliver anything to the people.
You want us to go for a referendum? DG was part of the constitution-making process. You've taken him so far, years back.
But he will agree with you.
Even coming with the Senate.
The way they designed the document,
yes.
It has been watered down, because there is a very clear framework, very clear policy, and the constitution is also very clear on what is expected of those institutions.
Actually,
but people just decide not to do
exactly.
their work.
You see, Victor, we have functions, 9 functions that are already been devolved to the county governments. Not all functions have been unbundled and devolved to the county governments.
Yes.
And in those 9 functions, not every of those functions is actually costed and the resources get to the counties. We still, until today, grapple within the counties, how do we deal with the issue of early development education as a function within the county government, because it is not funded. We have had these discussions. We have 2 proposals which have been discussed over and over. Either a grant be provided for ECDs, or it is classified as a development function. But again, we cannot, since it is the foundation for education, then just assume and just leave it like that, because that is a service that directly links us with the public. But the other thing which I wanted just to mention in terms of the devolved units is, you know, I'm coming from social justice sector, where we were directly looking at every loophole and you know, within the governance structure and publicize it. Now I am in that seat. In
How does it feel?
So there are things
Yes.
at a very technical level and also at a level where you have to make really hard decisions. The minority leaders talked about movement of cash flow, and the 2 oversights institutions, that's the Office of the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget, where by now I think the only releases that have been made to the county governments is only just the disbursements for July.
Yeah.
So when when I am at that level making a decision on what we need to use to go forward, how do you determine what to pay, what not to pay? And then you have a circular that says pay, for example, utility bills. Utility bills may not at that particular point to be very important. It can be delayed because we can talk with KPLC or whoever is providing water. That is not essential at that point, because we are talking about between end of June and we are in towards the end of September.
Yes.
So this balance between what do you prioritize and how do you determine how much level of cash flow you need to be able to deal with the daily operations and to keep systems, you know, just working, becomes really a very frustrating challenge in terms of would you be said you are corrupt by making decisions to keep you a little bit afloat, waiting for when the next disbursements, or do you follow what the control of budget has advised that you pay only utility bills? I think we need just to, as Wakili said, we have to fulfill what the Constitution has proposed, that every 15th of the month, then the disbursement to county governments must
I think you're trying to say that somebody should be accountable.
Victor, if I may,
Also maybe
Somebody
to
should
add
be,
something.
in terms of accountability, whether it's treasury, national government,
Victor,
should be
so
accountable.
that I don't lose this point.
In 1 minute, before.
Yes. There's something I want to tell to this gentleman. These are my views. That the reason why our devolved units are failing is because they rely on the national cake. And I've been telling few guys who want to be governors, if you don't have ideas on how to generate on-source revenue, just don't contest. Because even if you're elected, you know you're going to face the same problems, you're going to also make the same complaints. So if you can't generate more, it means you can't even meet your basic need, even things like even paying utility bills. Basically what it means is that you are bankrupt. That's why I think you have seen somewhere that most counties in Kenya, they're basically bankrupt. Without the share from the national government, they can't operate. Very few counties generate their own resources, which can sustain those recurrent expenditures.
Yeah.
Very few.
Well,
So maybe just to add on the same,
You've opened a can of worms, clearly.
I think also the executive at the national level, I think what they should impress is find a way of strengthening the institutions that are supposed to offer and those checks and balances to ensure there is accountability, as opposed to interfering, because I don't understand what business the president has in trying to control the procurement process at the national level. The constitution is very clear. They are supposed to facilitate counties by releasing the exchequer to the counties. Then the counties should operate autonomously. So those interferences is what delays. And also the budgeting process should also be very clear, because why do we have every end of the financial year by 30th or the 20th of July, we should have our budget in place and running, but you find people try to make a lot of technicalities, and I think it's a trick that is normally being used by the executive at the national to buy time. Those delay. It is not that the agencies that are supposed to ensure that happens are not keen on ensuring counties are funded on time.
Okay.
But to find it's a control mechanism that is used to delay so that other priorities can be met. But we need to empower them. And also in terms of on-source revenue, for instance, like Machakos, the World Bank did a survey, and it projected that Machakos itself has a revenue potential of 7 billion.
Yes.
But because of lack of accountability.
That's annually?
Yes, annually.
Okay.
And revenue leaks, where money, instead of being channeled to the government fund, you find most of it normally ends at people's pockets. So you find they barely struggle to raise $1 billion. But if you look at the revenue potential within Machakos, Mavoko sub-county itself can raise up to $3 billion. So those accountability and strengthening of that is what needs to happen. And also the county governments, the 47 of them, should do a strategy paper and a policy document that can allow them, because it's like the issue of delayed release of fund is not something that is going to go anytime soon. Yes. We need to come up with policies where we can have a financing module where counties can engage and have the treasury as a guarantor with institutions, so that they can fund the development aspect, not the utility. Because if you allow the utility, borrowing for utility, you will find some governors borrowing to pay ghost workers. But for the development aspect, we can find, if it's a road that is supposed to be done and it requires like 100 million, based on the expected exchequer release, can the county do a policy and borrow from an institution, then treasury pays directly to the institution? That will mean the citizens will be able to get that project delivered efficiently and in good time, which can help in generating value and probably even revenue. But because of that delay, you find you want to do a road that might open an economic zone, but you find it takes 8 to 5 years. So what does that mean? At the end of the day, that will be delayed. If it is a case of Turkana, it is a potential Dubai for Kenya. So what they should be doing is do a policy and project Turkana.
You raised a very good point.
As a tourist, not only for Kenya, because people go to Dubai, but they are not aware we have white beaches.
Turkana. There are two quick things I wanted to mention. Wakili, counties deserve more than the national government allocations because these are our taxes that are supposed to be spent in these counties anyways.
Yeah.
So meaning we cannot be faulted for not having our own source revenue. Number two, I have gone through some counties, including Turkana. We have an elaborate plan of building a strong economic base. Land use in Turkana alone, according to our costing, can be valued at about 3.6 trillion. And we have the potential to build our own source revenue of about 3.2 billion a year. But the infrastructure that we need to be able to tap and to develop those key value chains that is able to generate those resources require a financing that can only be guaranteed by the national government. And so I think either way, we have a right as counties to get much more higher equitable share. What do ministries for the 85% revenue that lives in the national government? They're supposed to.
My director is asking me to ask you, DJ, that what is your own source revenue for Turkana?
Our own source revenue, we have about 9 streams. Out of those 9 streams, of course, single permit, single business permit is one of the sources. We have parking. We are supporting establishment of Elie Eco City. We have 7 key value chains that Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute is helping us to establish. I am pushing for the private sector investments, which are also de-risking businesses in Turkana. So those are like really key things that we can't do on our own without private sector, national government through key government, national government ministries.
We really have to stop at this point. The director has been so good to us. He's given us more time. I think because you've raised a very good point as you're almost finalizing, which I think is very important. I think we'll have to come back, Mheshimiwa, to talk about that issue of the proposal on when it comes to on how to fund county governments, you know, also in supporting their own source revenue. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming to the show. David Kipruto, who is an advocate of the High Court and founder KDS Advocates. Thank you so much. KDS Advocates. Francis Kaviu, Minority Leader, Machakos County Assembly, and of course, His Excellency, Dr. John Erus, Deputy Governor of Turkana County. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. That's where we wrap it up. My name is Victor Lo.